Okay, so we got a few questions here. Kahuna is asking you, Matt, if you could please explain your leveraged trade and your stop losses, etc.
This, I can absolutely explain it to you, mate. And Kahuna, lovely to see you again. This is not going to bode well with the audience, the way that I'll trade leverage, because it's probably counter every book and every other YouTuber, what they'll tell you. I don't use stop losses. I'm sorry. I don't use stop losses. I use leverage not to have access to more money. It's to minimize the amount of money I've got in the trade. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So rather than, yes, I use it as a safety mechanism to use a small amount of money. Well, what I would call a small amount of money to trade large. Okay, so I want to be in a $150,000 trade. Okay, what's a hundred? Oh, let's get a calculator for a second. I want to be in a large trade. Okay, 150,000 US dollar trade. That's what I want to be in. I don't want to be in a $10,000 trade, right? So with 8x leverage, I only have to put in $18,750. That might sound like a lot of money, okay? But I've got that, right? So
Yeah.
let's not don't quibble on that. You can scale the numbers to fit
Yeah.
your circumstance, okay? So my stop loss will be liquidation.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I'm entering off the point where my bias would change. Like buying off that weekly green diamond. I actually bought below the weekly green diamond for the leverage position. I bought at 17,200. 8x leverage as we started to come back up off the 15.5 on that time there. I thought, well, if we go back down below 15.5, it's going to go way lower. But and my liquidation was below that anyway. So I risked 18,750 US dollars to trade with 150,000 US dollars. It's no one's going to talk about this as a good option, because unless you've got the backbone there, you don't want to risk that kind of money. That might wipe you out. But if it was $1,800 and you wanted to trade with $15,000, it's the same scale, you know.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? No stop liquidation.
Yeah. So
I have a stop in now, though, you know.
Yeah, the leverage thing, it's a touchy subject for me, because the safest way to use leverage is to not use it at all. There are ways that you can use leverage to protect your account. You know, what happened with FTX is a fantastic example as to why you would want to use leverage. You're using leverage because we don't fucking trust exchanges. We want to keep our Bitcoin on a ledger. We want to keep it in cold storage. So instead of, let's say I want to enter a trade for 1 Bitcoin, I'm not going to trust the exchange with my Bitcoin. Fuck that. I only need to put in enough trust as necessary. And that's your stop loss. So if you have a 10x leveraged trade on Bitcoin and you want to trade 1 Bitcoin, you take 0.1 Bitcoin. And that's what you're allowing, that's what you're trusting the exchange to. It's just like, here, I don't trust you more than I have to. The only amount that I need to trust you is 0.1 BTC. Let me trade with 1. Your stop loss becomes your liquidation point, and you will never lose your 1 Bitcoin trade as a result of an exchange stealing your money, or as a result of an exchange doing a flash crash on cross margin that could liquidate your 1 Bitcoin. There's a lot of different scenarios where, you know, crypto is all about trust, right? Like, we have the ability to put ourselves in trustless situations, and an example of a trustless situation with an exchange is only posting the stop loss. So always trade with the account balance that you have. If you really want to get cheeky with it, maybe trade with 1.5 times what you have, but anything above double the money that you have, you're in hairy territory. And I realize, you know, this stems from greed. It stems from people wanting to take a shortcut. Shortcuts cut you down every single time. Don't take shortcuts. You have to just find the strategy, find the method, prove that it works, and stick to it. And any shortcut, you know, the world is going to show you in its most aggressive way possible why shortcuts don't work. Leverage is used for safety.
Well put, mate. Where most people go wrong with leverage is they misunderstand that key point, that leverage is your tool to get exposed less of your own money to a trade. It's not. You don't put all your money in, then lever it up to use more of it. That is why people are effing up with leverage.
That's why exchanges are such an incredibly profitable business model.
Oh yeah.
To capture that.
Oh yeah.
Everybody getting liquidated.
Great.
Yeah.
Next question. What good question?
Yeah. So now, how would you? So I guess when you're determining your stop, you chose 8x leverage. So you were looking at the chart. You went in, and you decided, well, I want to place my stop here. How did you decide where your stop or your liquidation price was going to be? How did you make that decision? Is that based off of the weekly SAR?
No, I use float. My additional indicator that I have, it's the calculator, the leverage calculator.
Mm-hmm.
So I love float. Nobody uses float, but I think it's an incredible tool to managing. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. But I use it. I built it for myself. And if anyone wants it, they're welcome to it. I saw when we crashed down to that a final capitulation there off the FTX debacle. We went down to about 15, something like that. And then when we started to recover, I used float to calculate where my liquidation price would be below the lowest low.
Okay.
So 10x leverage would have put me inside that. We could have printed a higher low structure, and it would 10x would have had me higher than the lowest low. So 8x leverage dropped me down to below the lower low.
So you're talking the tip. Low. You're talking the tip of the wick, the lowest low of the tip of the wick on this candle.
The lowest point.
Yeah.
The lowest point. So I went down. I went down. 10x would have put me above that. 9x would have put me above that. 8.5 would have put me above it. 8's the most leverage I can use without going to a lower low, which would make me not bullish. I would have been short at that point. Do you know what I mean? Right. That's when you look 10K. But once we recovered, I had a low point, and it was below a weekly green diamond. It was low. So I was cool with that. So I use float for that. I use float. I'm still using float. It's the best. It's the best. And what else? What other tool ever can you use to calculate that kind of risk before you enter the trade?
Right on the chart.
That's which one.
Yeah.
Right on the chart before you enter it in a mock, and then you just punch in your details. Float's awesome.
Let's float. There it is. There's float. Kahuna is asking, please share float. Kahuna, it's on AlphanumetriX.com. There should be a link somewhere to either my link tree. Maybe there isn't. I haven't done much with Twitch, but if you go to my YouTube channel, click on my link tree and AlphanumetriX, or just go to, it's AlphanumetriX.com, or what is it?
Yep.
Yeah, AlphanumetriX.com. It's one of the offerings there. Okay.
Yeah. So type in. Double click on the indicator on the float.
Okay.
Double click. Yep. You go into settings. I can't see this. It's really small on my phone. But put your initial capital before leverage as what did I say it was? Just put your initial capital as 18,750.
Okay.
Put your entry as 17,200.
Entry.
It should be at the top. It should be second from the top, not like that. I can't see the screen, man. But
I've got input price, initial capital.
Yeah, input price, man.
Input price. What? Sorry.
17,200.
Okay.
Yep. 8x leverage.
Okay.
Yep. No stop. Take off your stop losses and everything like that. No stop loss.
Yep.
Yep, and then just hit OK. And you can make it bigger if you want the people to see it. That's
So
all
we
I'll
got
say.
these two lines here. So the blue line represents your entry, and then the red line represents
Red
your
line's
stop.
liquidation.
Liquidation.
Liquidation. There's no stop loss in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a risky trade, but I can't see the screen, so I'm just gonna have to word for it that it's all working there. But yeah, so that's why I did that. And I could program this, before. See, if you got that box on the screen still, that's why it's really hard to see there. That yellow box.
Yeah.
But you get the point, right? It's right on that box line.
Yeah. Right here, right below the wick.
Yeah.
Beauty.
So that's how I did that, and I thought that was a beauty.
Yeah.